Hey everyone, welcome back to my garden. It is really cold out today and I feel like I am not dressed properly. We've had a really cold stretch of cold weather, but it's dry and we're supposed to get ridiculous rain again tonight. So I want to try to get some of the winter pruning that we have left. My husband, he did finished it up yesterday while I was at work. The one thing we didn't get finished was the butterfly bush at the top of the property. Now, we want to move that butterfly bush anyway, but in order to get it full and bushy, like a butterfly bush should be, I want to cut it back some. So, and then I think I'll try to do a little bit of a tour. It is, what's today's date? March 22nd. Since we had an earlier warm stretch back, I think early February, things have started to push out. They started growing a lot. It's been very cold the last week, and so I think things are kind of on hold again, but there are some things that are ready to go, so I'm going to try to show you what I can. In particular, the tulip magnolia. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's opened up quite a bit more, maybe, or at least it hasn't frozen like they can when we get late freezes like this. So come garden with me and let's get the butterfly bush pruned up and do a little bit of a garden tour. Kind of dark over here, so I know it might be tough to see, but I feel like that bloom is already past its prime and it really never opened up fully. But you can see here, this one, when it gets warm again, is going to start to open. That one, is that focusing on that? I mean, it's just covered in buds, and we got down to 23 overnight. I'm kind of surprised these haven't frozen. I hope they didn't freeze, because it is covered in blooms and I really want to see this thing unfurl. Be really exciting. So, okay, let's take a walk up to where the butterfly bush is, because like I said, we are in for another almost like tropical storm in March. It's ridiculous. I know I keep talking about it, but it is quite depressing for me because our yard has not fully dried out from all of the rains we received in December, January, and February, and then the snow. And it's only this week that really, maybe late last week, that we've actually been able to access this part of our property up here, which is depressing. But my goodness, look at these daylilies. These are the three we transferred up here late last year. I don't even know. Yeah, I guess it was still summer. Maybe late summer and early spring or early fall. Because these were where we planted the midnight sun weigelas. I'm surprised the deer haven't gotten to these. Because for us, daylily or deer candy. But okay, so here is the butterfly bush I want to get pruned up. It stayed evergreen for us, even with all the cold weather. But you can see it's not really full. It's not really dense. So I want to prune it down quite hard, because it's going to go up front in our driveway bed, where it will get more full sun down there, and hopefully it will really thicken up. Once the trees leaf out, it doesn't get full sun up here. So I'm going to take after this. Got my pop-up bag. I'm not going to be real precise because I do want to prune it hard. I'm probably going to go down to probably right there. So I'm probably going to take it down to about, it's going to be less than a foot tall. I'll put you down real quick so you can just see some of the cuts that I'm going to make. That way. So, let's see, where do I want to go? There's already a lot of new growth coming out of the bottom as well. I think I'm going to go to here. There's a twin set of buds there. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to go right above that. So you can see, where am I? Right there. So you can see how short that is compared to the rest of them. So that's just what I'm going to go around and do all around. I'm just going to make it the same height. Quick and easy. Let me get my shadow out of there. Probably the easiest shrub to prune. Took it down, and you can see, I think you can see. Let me put you down again. That's a dead branch. I'm going to take that all the way down to the bottom, and if there are any other dead branches, like this one, I'm going to take that off as well. Yeah, I could probably have broken that just by snapping it. So that is now ready to move. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to show in my tour here. I do see a lot of things budding out. If I can get in real close, the Invincible lace. You can see, can you see? It's budding out, which is good to see. I think I mentioned this in my previous video. Well, it hasn't posted yet, but this is the wee white. And although I see buds on it, they are very, very tiny. Not like, is that focusing? I can't tell, but they are so small and there's not many of them. There's a strong set of buds right there. But again, I would have thought this would have been more leafed out by now, and I'm concerned that it's possibly not black walnut tolerant, which is unfortunate because it is a hydrangea arborescens. That's the black walnut right there, and this is the Haas Halo, and this is a hydrangea arborescens too, and you can see just how many buds there are on this. I feel like I should have pruned. I'm going to take the dead flowers off these real quick, but let's see. The oak leaf hydrangea has a lot of buds on it. This one you never get really a lot of flowers from, which is unfortunate too. Again, could that be the black walnut or could it be the deer? Could be a combination of both. The hydrangea arborescens and the oak leaf hydrangea are the only two hydrangeas that are black walnut tolerant. But as I've mentioned several times, the further you get away from the straight species, sometimes those traits are inadvertently bred out. So I guess we'll just take it as it comes and see what happens over time. Caramel heuchera is starting to get some pretty color. I think even the sweet tea heucherella. I have these all covered because I uncovered them late last year, I think in December, and something ate them completely to the ground. And these are a really gorgeous color, but they're all coming back. You can see the pretty red foliage in there, so I'm happy to see that. These ones, these are coming back too. These are, oh gosh, I think they're either sugar and spice or pink skyrocket tiarella. We had moved these from the front of the house where they were just getting blasted with too much sun. Definitely doing a little bit better back here. Not sure if this is focusing because of the cloche, but you can see some red in there. So all 5 of those are coming back, which I'm happy about. Let's see, this is another Haas Halo budding out nicely. Another one. I feel like the one that I showed you the first, that one was, this one looks a little, I don't know. I'm worried about this one now too. I mean, there is another, well, there's 2 black walnuts right there, but these ones were younger and smaller when I received them. The other one that I showed you over there was definitely a bigger, fuller specimen. So let's just hope these are not budding out as strongly as that one because they're just younger. We can hope, right? The Gibraltar azalea is definitely all budded up. This is a gorgeous orange azalea. This is an Exberry azalea, the only kind that is black walnut tolerant. If you want some beautiful spring color near your black walnuts, consider some Exberry azaleas. This invasive stand of yellow iris is coming back. Every year we say we're going to get rid of this. We never get around to it. The maple leaf viburnums, I know not far along, but they're leafing out. I have to get an obelisk for our honeysuckle here because this is going to be a vigorous one. It's the native honeysuckle vine. I just wanted it to climb along this log, which it's doing, but I feel I would like it to grow up a bit too. But that's evergreen, unless it's really, really harsh. The Blue Point junipers look fine. Oh look, there's some daffodils over there. Can you see them? I don't think those are on our property, but I'm glad they survived the ridiculous amount of work we've had to do up here. Everything's greening up here too. There's a lot of grass growing, which I'm assuming is panicum. And blue stem, that's what was seeded in our meadow. I think it's going to be a couple of years before we see any of the flowers. My husband cut back the goldenrod and the Joe Pye weed yesterday while I was at work that we had left standing from the winter over there. And I told him to just throw it up in the meadow, see what happens, along with those veronicastrum seed heads that I had cut back several weeks ago. Oh my gosh, it's really wet here. I feel like it gets wetter every time I come up here. It's just groundwater. We haven't had any significant rain recently, but I do see, oh my goodness, it's a good thing I wear my duck boots. Now, this was never here before. Look how pretty that is. But yeah, definitely squishy up here. I hope our, what did we just plant up here? Gentian, our bottle gentian. Well, they are really, really wet tolerant plants. Standing water over the course of the winter is another story, especially when they're young. Young plants have to have a chance to get established before they deal with those kinds of situations. The nine barks, getting pretty foliage. These are ginger wine, so they will come out ginger, and then they will turn more of a burgundy. Loving this gray owl juniper. Arctic sun dogwoods have some buds on them too. The Royal Raindrops crabapple I planted in the fall, well, late summer, fall, leafed out, so it survived the winter. I did plant it high. We're going to be doing some more landscaping around it. Not sure when, hopefully sometime this year. Remember when I told you I had to cover these pumpkin spice heucherella because they had gotten eaten? This one is really, really growing back vigorously. I'm really glad about that. The other one, not so much. So I think I'm going to go get cloches and cover these again because I would hate to see them get destroyed again. This hyacinth getting ready to bloom. I just remembered I wanted to cut back these 3 Durvilla because you can kind of see how they're not growing upright. So I want these to get more bushy. So I'm going to cut those back too. Those are getting moved anyway. I'm pretty sure they are. Because you can see this Durvilla over here. Those are Kodiak Fresh. This is a Kodiak Orange. I've never had to prune this. And look how dense it is and upright. I think the Kodiak Fresh does need some special handling to get it to look like this. So I am going to take after that as well. That you can just cut to the ground. Almost like a butterfly bush. And I think, oh dear, I have to say I cannot recommend Fire Chief Arborvitae. We're going to put these in pots. They had started to come back and then the deer got to them again. Look how horrible. Fire Chief Arborvitae are more deer candy than any other arborvitae that I have had experience with. They're pretty, but I cannot recommend them. They just get decimated by deer. Okay, so I think I got as many cloches as I needed. I think I want to try to cover those arborvitae actually. We were going to try to put them in pots, but I don't want to have to take care of them for the moment. But before I go up there and cut back the Durvilla, put the cloches over some of the plants, the lilacs are leafing out nicely. The smell from these is incredible. That one gets more sun. So even though this one's only 4 feet away, it's a little bit behind. It still has buds. They're just not as open and green as the other ones. And the hydrangea. This is just a big leaf macrophylla. It's not an endless summer. It's not, as far as I know, it's just kind of unbranded. I think I bought this at Lowe's when we first moved into the house. Had pretty blue leaves, or blooms. Had it on the side there, I think in front of the fence. We had it moved because we wanted a little bit more of a privacy buffer in front of the fence, and it has not bloomed since. These are very unreliable bloomers. You're better with Endless Summer or the Let's Dance series if you want reliably blooming hydrangeas, but it is leafing out. All right, let's go back up there and take care of some more work. As you can see, we have some Brunnera coming up here, which I never seem to have luck with. There's a tiny one there. I don't think it got bigger than that at all last summer. And then we have another one in here. So even though they're supposed to be rabbit resistant, I'm going to cover them with cloches because I just don't trust that anything is rabbit and deer resistant. For that, I'm going to use these small cloches that I love to use from Gardener Supply. Just going to put one landscape staple in because I want to be able to lift these up easily. I'm just going to put one so they don't blow away. Which is fairly protected over here, so I'm not really too worried about these ones blowing away. And you can see down here our caramel heucheras. They probably really should be divided. There's 3 of them in here. This one looks the best. There's a tiny one in there. This one looks okay, but I think I'm gonna try to cover those as well with some small cloches. Although this one might need a big one. And I don't think I brought enough because I want to try to cover those fire chief. So I got the 2 smaller ones covered. That third one requires a big cloche, and I only brought enough out to do these 2 pots with the pumpkin spice heucherella and try and cover those fire chiefs. So I guess I'd have to go down to the basement and get another one. As I was mentioning, this pumpkin spice heucherella is not nearly as far along as the one in that pot, so definitely want to get these covered so they don't get eaten again. I took the opportunity to water these too because once I put the cloche on, all that rain tomorrow is not going to get to the plant. But I was actually able to use just a small one here because I'm really only trying to protect the pumpkin spice heucherella, not the pansies. And since I removed the cabbage from this a couple weeks ago, I don't need a big cloche, so I might have enough to do that big heuchera over there. Well, not quite, but good enough for now. And I'm going to use a big staple for this one because it's not really touching the ground. Except big staples won't go through. I'm going to have to force it. It never fails. Everywhere I want to do anything, I encounter a rock. Welcome to my world. Let's try over here. All right. small one back here. Let's see. Hopefully we don't get any crazy winds. Okay. I mean, it's not the whole plant, but it's most of the new growing part, so I'm okay with that. So even though this one's a little bit better branching, I'm still going to take these branches are kind of growing all funky. I'm taking those right down to a really good strong set of buds. This one, because I want these things to start growing upwards instead of outwards. And from what I understand from my research, this is what you have to do the Kodiak Fresh. So I took some quite large branches off this other one. My camera is acting very weird right now. I'm going to set you down. That one looks pretty good. But I did take some rather long branches off. You know, I just went hard on it because I want these, again, to start growing upwards. Took all this off. This one over here is the one that's growing the funkiest. You can see where I took that. Took all this big growth off because I want these buds down here to start to be dominant and grow upwards instead of outwards. You can kind of see what I did to these fire chiefs. I really had to force them under these cloches because I really don't want to move them. I had to take quite a bit off of this one. It's not pretty, but it will protect them from the deer. And this one that I had to cut on, maybe it'll force it to flush out new growth. Personally, since they are so deer damaged every year, we are wasting so much time and effort on these. I'd really like to just get rid of them. My husband can't quite seem to let things go, even when they provide us with nothing in return. So instead of moving them for right now, I just covered them. And again, it's not pretty, but at least it will protect them from the deer. One of my subscribers had wanted an update on the Thea Thin Man. Now, we just planted these late last year, so there's really not much to update. I mean, they haven't grown any. They are, you know, putting on some new growth at the very top. We managed to keep them protected from the deer all season with the spray, much more so than the Fire Chief Arborvitae. So I'll provide an update later on in the season when these actually start to grow. These are another one that should grow 3 to 5 feet a year in the perfect condition. This is the last one we planted. I'm going to take a walk down to the property, front of the property here. Don't show this bed all the time because it's very close to the road. But I want to see what's happening down here. I do see the peachberry ice. Heuchera is starting to push, which is nice. Such a pretty color. I probably should protect these too. Can you tell that I like heucheras that are more peachy, caramelly colored? Not sure what happened to this poor azalea. We moved it here a couple of years ago. It finally started to come back. It bloomed gorgeously last year, and this year it just lost, well, late last year, lost a lot of its branches. I really don't know why. Not sure I see anything happening, at least not much on the mountain laurel, but I do think those don't bloom until May. But I do see lots of tulips. See some astilbe growth. That's exciting. The gold heart dicentra is really pushing new growth. We have some pretty daffodils blooming. We do have 2 gold hearts in here. I do not see any evidence of the second one, which for some reason has always struggled for us down here. I don't see any. Well, maybe. Yep. Can you see that tiny little bit? Right there. That's it compared to that one. The yew is doing nicely. It should get more sun. Now, it does get a lot of sun at this time of the year, but once the sun starts to head towards its full summer solstice, it will not be getting full sun. The wee bit grumpy. I feel like we might move this year. I don't know. We have so many things to move, but I feel like it's not getting as much sun and nutrients down here as it would like. Oh, and it's broken. Probably deer. Darn it. So annoying. We have some daffodils blooming up here. These were not blooming last week. for even earlier this week. I see some hyacinths under the tree there starting. Let me see if I can get closer. Yeah. See that? 2 hyacinths there. The PJM rhododendrons are coloring up. So I think I'm going to call it quits for the day. It's starting to cloud up and get a little bit chillier in preparation for the rain that's coming. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Happy gardening. Bye.